I'm live? Oh shit, it's 7:50. How did I get into this? One, two. Let me see. One, two, one, two, one, two. Yep. Okay, we're live already? All right. I don't know how my screen's so big. Um, and I can't. All right. Magic. Babe, I said that's not my name. All right. Good morning, Deb S. Good morning. Where's Chief? Oh. Mm. Mm. Today we're gonna have a serious conversation. Um, about John Brown. Thank you, Shirley Brown. John Brown might have been your family, Shirley. That was a wild animal park. You know what, Ali? If you're not showing up, don't come out here showing out. Good morning, Gary Finney. Good morning, Christy Graham. Yeah, I forgot. So the computer was asleep. So all I had to do was press it down and keep it down till it went off, and then press it back up and let it reboot. That's what I didn't do. Um, Snitchy, what is wrong with your microphone? Because you're supposed to tell me. So if we need to get a new microphone, we need to get one. So you just gotta let me know. Cousin. So we got 5 minutes. All right. Oh, let me get this together. Ah, I got to get this together real quick. so we can hear some music. You guys tell me if you can hear the music. Here, let me go to Blog Talk. I don't know if you guys can hear it good. Yeah, babe. Ooh. I'm gonna love you anyway, babe. Even if you walk away, babe. I'm gonna give you everything I got. I'm gonna love you, ain't gonna stop. And when I see you on the streets, babe, you can always count on me, babe. I'm gonna be the one that never leaves. I'm gonna stand until your heart believes that I love you. I'll protect you, girl. I'll respect you. My love is here. My love is here. My love is real. And it's so real for you. My love is yours. Girl, you know you can't kill my love. I'm gonna say it every day, babe, that my love is here to stay, babe. I'm gonna tell your family and your friends, once my love is started, it will never end. And I am gonna tell the truth, babe. I stand on business for you, baby. I'm to the bone when it comes to us. And I'm coming home, there's no need to fight. That I love you. I will protect you, baby. I will respect you. And this here is here for you. And my love is so real. And it's yours, only you can. No one can kill my love. Yeah, like the air I breathe. Oh, you know my love is real, baby. I'm yours and you are mine. You can't kill my love. I'm real, babe. I'm real, baby. I'm real, babe. You can't kill my love. No, no, no. I'm real, babe. Baby, yeah. I'm real, baby. You are the only one, girl. You can't kill my love. Now that's a mix. That's a mix. That's mixed right.
Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Morning, Fish. Jay.
Good morning, Keith. Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Smithy.
Commander, you can't kill my love.
Mm.
How's everybody doing? How you guys? Good morning. Good morning. I'd like to say good morning with a song for you. Good morning. Good morning. I'd like to say good morning with a song or two. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood, a wonderful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? Kings in the Morning listeners, would you be my neighbor? Good morning, Chief. Would you be my neighbor?
Certainly, Jay. I'm glad to be in the neighborhood.
Good morning, Fish. Would you be my neighbor?
Certainly, Jay. I'm bringing bassist Rhonda Smith with me this morning.
So you guys see what the neighborhood is like, right? Nice neighborhood, nice clean neighborhood. So when somebody comes in that's bringing the neighborhood down, I just want you to say now. Good morning, Michael Robinson.
Yeah, I call Roto Rooter. We're gonna put some meerkat traps out.
Meerkat trap.
Wow.
Speaking of meerkat traps, this morning when I woke up, you know, the front part of my house, as you guys know, because you guys have been there, it's glass. It's it's glass on both sides, and then the door, right? So when I walk out, I look to the right, and I'm looking out at my area right there, and there is a gray fox.
Wow.
A gray fox is in my atrium area, sniffing my plants and stuff, and then I look at him, and he look at me, and then he starts walking his way. Well, I was like, wow, it was a gray fox. He called you
a gray fox
because I looked it up.
Okay.
Chief, he called you a big giant cop.
I'm on Meerkat Patrol. It's just like that day I walked out, Jay, and saw this raccoon, man, and he hissed at me. And I was on my way to the range, so I pulled out my little 40 caliber, and then he was too close to the bricks, so I didn't shoot him. And then I eased to the car, and he eased down the way, and he ran his way, and I went my way.
I'm gonna tell you right now. Yeah, he ain't scared of you. And so, one time a raccoon was in my garbage, and I come out the house. Hey, get out of there! Get out! Good morning, Kyle Williams. And he the motherfucker looked at me like, I will fuck you up, nigga. Who you? Good morning, the kid George. And I think that's what he was saying. Like he was like, "What you gonna do? You ain't gonna do shit." You know, he looked at me like, I dare you, bring your ass close. I'll be all over you like a spider monkey. He was saying shit like that to me. Good morning, Mr. LES. The Fox will be back tomorrow. You say, Michael Robinson? I would love to, so they say that you'll see foxes early morning or late evening. And I had saw a fox before in the neighborhood. I didn't, but I thought I was seeing things. So I said, are there wild foxes in California? Yes, they are. Are there wild foxes in Sacramento? Yes, they are. So I saw a red one before. This was a gray one. So I've seen a red and gray fox in my neighborhood. So and I got to tell you guys, some of you guys offended Kyle Williams yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Because Kyle Williams brought up Lenora, what was her name? Lenora Faloni, who ran for president. And she was the first African-American person to get qualified in all 50 states. And he felt like, some of you guys made jokes about it. But I said, hey, this is a silly show. And not all these motherfuckers on the show are educated. So don't be offended by the ignorance. It's not, it's an honest ignorance. Some people on this show is honestly ignorant. Like they just not smart. They just don't, they don't hold an intellectual pathway. And it's no big deal. They haven't had an intellectual pathway from the beginning. So we can't expect them to find that intellectual pathway today. Good morning, EMAC, but I did apologize for the ignorance um, to Ali said like Chief. Chief is pretty intellectual, but it was somebody said did nobody know her because she had 250,000 votes. 250,000 people liking you without the machine behind you is incredible. But today, you guys, I have 4 foxes I think are living in the rafters of a barn here in Central Valley, is what Christy Graham says. That's take care of them. You know, be kind to animals. But today, you guys, we're gonna have a kind of serious show. Even though I believe that if once the neighbor King, why are you picking on Fred this morning, bro? I didn't say anybody's name in particular, Keone. If there's anybody picking on Fred, it's you at this point because you mentioned his name with ignorance. I did not. I did not do that. But today, we're gonna do a deep dive on John Brown because John Brown was a white man who believed so wholeheartedly that slavery was wrong that not only did he give his life, he gave the life of his son. So we're going to talk about Harper's Ferry today. I mean, we're going to do a whole thing on it. And when I think about it, it wasn't that long ago. It was 164 years ago that this man, 164 years, that this man gave his life in slavery. Isn't that something? Less than 150 years ago, slavery was still in effect. Tell you how crazy this world is. Let me see. No. Am I wrong? 1850, 1959. Yeah, 164, 165. King, my bad. I thought you were talking about Fred. It just makes sense to me.
Yeah, I remember I think it was 293. College, we marched downtown Jackson to get slavery off the state constitution.
It's crazy.
Mississippi.
Yeah, we live in, so just the whole concept of it is mind-boggling. It's it boggles the mind. Let me see. I gotta find this song. So that is correct. Hey, good morning, Jana Marie. Jana Marie said I'm correct. If Jana Marie said I'm correct, then I know I'm correct. Because Jana Marie got a little historian on her back. So before we get into it though, I'm going to so we did this after hours, everybody else heard it. So I want you guys to hear some of the changes we did on Standing Tall. You're gonna hear the drums are different now. You're gonna hear the bass. You're gonna hear the keyboard. The vocals are gonna be low, but you hear.
Someone's always out there trying to burn these things I've grown to know. And you'll see all the things in life I've grown to be. And now I must face the reality. My brother done me wrong. And through it all,
always trying to bring you down. Because the things you say were so profound. They hate to see you grow. You grow, baby.
That love they do will stop a tree. Come on, it will only grow for all to see. Your mind keeps getting strong. Keep standing, standing. Oh, yeah, baby. I keep standing tall. You keep standing tall. Through it all, we're standing tall. Through it all, I keep standing tall. You keep standing tall. Through it all, we're standing tall.
That's DOA on that bass. That's beat killer. Ivan Johnson. I keep standing. I can get up and standing tall.
Oh, yeah.
Standing tall.
Yeah, yeah.
Standing tall.
Yeah.
Get up.
Yeah.
Get up. Standing tall.
I keep standing.
I don't knock you down. Keep standing tall.
So that's where we are right now. And so we are about 40% through. Still got a few things to do, a few things to add, then mixing. That's that. It's not a concert, Ali, but the only reason why he can't help but hate. He if he was in a group, they'd be called the Hate Machine.
To hate us.
He don't know how to love. He don't know how to love.
He love the animals.
Well, late August, we're gonna release the single. Late August, Keone. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me see. Right here. No. Undo. Where's I want to move it. Where is it? Where is it at? Is it in Club Nouveau? July 18. Okay. You are Chief in a group called, you and Chief are in a group called Big and Small. You know what, Ali? You know who ain't in the group? You.
He in the Broke Back and Crawl group. Broke Back and Crawl.
Through it all, he'll be broke back and crawl. Through it all, broke back and crawl. Can't walk. So this is another record that I think is There's gonna be a big record for Ricky Jones.
Hurry, hurry, step right up to the Ricky Jones Magic Show. All you have to do is let go. Here we are, lying here in bed. I've been waiting on this moment for a long time. And while I'm kissing you, hold your neck and softly touch you between your inner thigh till your soul gets wet. Cause we gon' make magic, we gon' make magic, magic, magic. Ooh, we gon' make magic, we gon' make magic, magic. Ooh. I can pull a rabbit out of my head, disappear and return like that, and then I'm kissing you all over your package. When you do what you do, in that position, body saying cool, with good intention, toes curling, calling on God, riding on my back, while you're saying, oh Lord, we gon' make magic, 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 oh, magic, 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 magic. We gon' make magic. Oh, you know what, baby? People go a whole lifetime and never have this magic. I'm so glad that you and I connect like this. Oh, we can do magic. So much magic. Making your toes curl up, baby. Don't know what to do. Oh, magic. Magic. We can do magic tonight, baby. I'm no patron, hanging like a castle, baby. Sounds like a symphony by Bach.
That's a big award-winning host you got there, Pop.
Do you know what drives me crazy? Speaking in tongues, ain't it? What's gonna do? So good, so good. I wanna stop.
Good morning, Lisa.
No, I wanna stop. No, baby.
Good morning, Dale Burney. Good morning, Jeff Carlin. Wow, Ali said, I like that song. God, whoa, Charlie. Oh, Charlie, hold on. Ali said it like it. Shit, the ears of stone. Somebody's
He
melting
liked the song. He didn't like the song, Jay. He liked the title. He want magic so he can walk again. He liked the title.
Okay.
But I like the song.
Shamble said he don't know about it. Janet Marie said that nigga gonna have me speaking in tongues, god damn it. I think it's bad. Okay, so I want you guys to hear something else. I want you guys to tell me what you think about this. Let me see. Where is he? Let me go back. I think I have to go here. I thought I saved him. Mo Ghost. Okay. So here's some songs. Here's a song. Mo Ghost. He's an independent artist. And he sent me this song. You know, there's not very many people that play independent music like we do. So we're gonna get music from everywhere. So this is
Software in a chord, mellow tone, deep away. I know what you need, ain't gotta say a word, just send that text, and I'm already gone.
Good morning,
You
Monkey.
don't ask for much, but I see it in your eyes. Working all day, holding pain in disguise. Say you independent, yeah, I respect that. But even strong women need a place to rest at. Let me be the one to ease your mind. Rub your feet, pour your wine. Take my time. No pressure, no rush, just the truth. I'm here to give, not take from you. Let me do what a real man do. Late nights you call, I'm sliding through. Yeah, I'm on it. You need a fix, I know what to do. I got that love you deep, not just passing through. Slow and try play my part, I'm your service boo. That's me. No games, no lies, just me and you. Holding it down, yeah, I'm your service boo. Say less, I don't need a script, girl, I read your vibe. You tense, you quiet, but I know that side. Slide my hands round your waist, melt the day away. Kiss your stress goodbye while the slow jams play. I ain't here for a flash, I'm built to last. Everything you wanted, wrapped in class. I see your worth, I know your mood. Let me match your depth, stay in tune.
Walter Williams,
Tonight,
good morning,
let me
sir.
show and prove. Late nights you call, I'm sliding through. You need a fix, I know what to do. I got that love you deep, not just passing through. Slow and try play my part, I'm your service boo. That's me. No games, no lies, just me and you. Real one. Holding it down, yeah, I'm your service boo. Say less, I'm not here for show, I'm here to serve. Earning every kiss, not what I deserve. You a queen, not a weekend thing, so I treat you like it, no drama, no fling. Consistency, girl, that's the vibe. I'm that quiet storm that feeds your light. If ever you doubt, just look my way. I'll pull you close, not drift away. Say the word, I'm here to stay.
So I'm gonna read you his bio.
Yeah, I'm your service.
His name is Mo Ghost.
Slide through.
MOGHOST.
Say the word, I'm with you. Service blue. Serving love, not rule. Ever true. I'm yours to choose. Mo Ghost.
Mo Ghost is a retired corporate manager that returned to his first love, music, and now an independent R&B recording artist, songwriter, and producer from St. Louis, Missouri. His music blends smooth R&B, neo-soul, and contemporary groove with heartfelt lyrics and memorable melodies. So let me just say this. Mo Ghost is AI. That's AI. And so I keep telling you guys, it's the resonance of a voice. That the voice is pleasant because it's perfect. It's a perfect voice, but it's not a real voice. And I don't play AI music, and I like the song. But if he had done it, recorded it, because people can upload their music and get Suno to give them different arrangements, you know, and Suno will give you an arrangement of the song that you can live with, or that you might say, you know, I love the arrangement. I love the way this song is arranged, and then you you know, you work from that arrangement. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, and then you put the live vocal on it. So I'm going to show you a song that I did with Dave Stone, and then me and Ivan redid it. But initially, the song was done with Dave Stone. Dave Stone is a friend of mine in L.A. So let me say, I'm going to try to find the original. I want to find the original because I want you to hear where it started, and then how we changed it. You know, we went from one stage to the next, and then how I put it in Suno, and got so it didn't change. So all Suno does is enhances what you have. It gives you another look at something. Let me see. I'm trying to find this. That's Dave Stone, J. King. This is it. This is it. So this is what me and Dave Stone did. So I just want you to hear where it started. So that's Dave Stone playing guitar. And when I wake up in the morning. So that's where it comes. That's where it comes from. That's where it starts. So that's where it started at. So then I sent it over to Ivan and said, "Hey, start working this out. This is going to be on my next record." So we start producing the record out, and then we come up with. Let me find it. Then we do Every Day. This is what we did. Good morning, Johnny Lee. So I took that and we put that in Suno. And then Suno gave us this.
Thank you.
And when I wake up in the mornings, I'm blessed to see your lovely face. So from the twilight till the dawning, I know our love will be in place every day. Every day.
So what I did was I took the track that we had recorded and I sang into the microphone on Suno. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm blessed to see your lovely face. So from the twilight till the dawning, I know our love will be in place every day. And so Suno gave me the string arrangement, and I love they had arranged the string arrangement. So now what we do is we take Suno and we take that arrangement and we redo it. So right now, I send this to Ivan and DOA. So you hear those strings right up the front there? That wasn't there. That's what so Suno does an arrangement of strings for me that is bossa nova feeling. And so then I put my voice on it. So now, what we're gonna do, we replay it. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm blessed to see your lovely face. So from the twilight till the dawning, I know our love will be in place every day. Every day. So there is a way to use AI. AI can help you get to a place faster, especially if you already kind of know if you know what you're doing, you know where you're going. AI helps you. You don't lean on AI. You use AI as a guide to help you get to where you're trying to get to. We wanted to get to, there was a string arrangement that I was looking for. AI added it to the track because we uploaded the track as is. And then I just sang into the AI microphone, into the microphone of Suno. What I'm saying to you is, he wrote a great song, but then he let Suno be the voice. You can't let Suno be the voice. You can't let Suno be the musician. You can let Suno be the guide, but you got to do the heavy lifting, the hard work. You got to. Otherwise, it sounds like an AI generated track because it is. Bernard, are you doing the word of the day today?
No, I'm not ready.
Would you be my neighbor?
Absolutely.
Chief, will you do the word of the day, or do I need to do? I have the word of the day. If you don't,
I'll be glad to do it, Jay, if you need me to. No problem.
Okay, because I had the word of the day with backpack. Well,
What is it?
I think he said backpack.
talk. I can't believe that you motherfuckers sit there and not say nothing. I'm not there. Don't nobody say nothing. It don't make no sense that y'all just sit there.
Bernard was talking and he just jumped off air.
But no, he wasn't, nigga. I'm listening. Y'all ain't said a goddamn word. Y'all trip me out. I'm gonna do the daily word, and you doing the word of the day, Chief?
I'm doing the word of the day, Jay.
The
got
daily
you.
word is thoughts, THOUGHTS, on Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026. Life affirming thoughts inspire me daily. Sometimes my thoughts run amok. I may struggle to settle my mind. I really do, especially if I'm worried or troubled about the state of my life or the state of the world. I may sometimes feel as though I have no control over my thoughts, but the truth is, I always have a choice. I remind myself I choose my thoughts, their quality, their quantity, and character. A timeless spiritual law reminds me that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Good thoughts bear good fruit. Today I set my mind on spirit and divine ideas such as peace, love, joy, abundance, grace, and more. Setting aside the troubles of the world and my attachment to them brings me peace. As I think life-affirming thoughts, I am inspired to put those positive thoughts to use. Today's Bible verse is Colossians 3:2. Set your minds on the things that are above, not on the things that are on earth. Big Chief, what is the word of the day?
Brother Jay, the word of the day would be baffled. And I will use the word in the sentence for you.
No, you gotta
I'll give you
spell
definition.
that.
The word baffled is BAFFLED. And I will
The
give you the
definition.
definition. I'm giving you the definition. The definition of the word baffled is confused, perplexed, or unable to understand something. Often on this show, we leave our audience baffled.
You guys
Not
you
Renard.
leave me baffled when you think I can't hear you motherfuckers not saying nothing. I'm baffled. All right, you guys. So we're gonna have a kind of serious show today because I'm gonna take you back to December 2nd, 1859, in Charlestown, Virginia. Today, Charlestown is part of what we call West Virginia. There's a wagon that's moving slowly on the streets. It's guarded by soldiers. And there's a guy sitting up on a wooden coffin. He's 59 years old. His name is about to be known throughout the United States. His hands are tied. His body has injuries on it as though he had been in some type of battle, because he has been. He was in the battle at Harper's Ferry. He's been convicted of treason against Virginia. He's been convicted of murder and conspiring with enslaved people to rebel. And right in front of him are the gallows. His name is John Brown. The thousands of armed men that are brought into the area because the American officials fear that abolitionists might be coming to attempt to rescue him. And among the people who are reportedly there to observe the execution are men who are going to soon become soldiers and officers in the Civil War. Now, John Brown is not begging for forgiveness. He's not denying what he attempted to do. He's not apologizing for believing that enslaved people have the right to be free. On this morning of his execution, John Brown is writing his final warning, not words, his final warning. And this is what he writes. The crimes of this guilty land will never be purged away, but with blood. That's what he's saying before he dies. That's what he's written down. And within 17 months of his murder, of his execution, the United States is going to be at war with itself. And before the war ends, approximately 4 million enslaved human beings will be legally free. 17 months. But John Brown won't live to see that freedom. And neither will his sons, Frederick, Oliver, and Watson. Frederick had been killed 3 years earlier while he was fighting with pro-slavery forces in Kansas City, in Kansas. Oliver and Watson had been mortally wounded beside their father during the raid at Harper's Ferry. So John Brown didn't merely give speeches against slavery. He didn't simply write letters or attend meetings. He gave his money, he gave his reputation, he gave his safety, he gave his freedom, and he gave his life. And members of his family paid the same terrible price. But I got to tell the whole story. You see, John Brown was courageous, religious, and most importantly, he was uncompromising. He was also violent. In Kansas, he participated in the killing of 5 pro-slavery settlers in Potawatomi Creek. And he was so vicious that his methods divided abolitionists during his lifetime, and today people still debate about it. People ask, was he a hero? Was he a fanatic? Was he a freedom fighter? Was he a terrorist? Or was he a man living in a violent nation who concluded that slavery would never surrender peacefully? So today we're going to examine John Brown, not as a myth that's been carved in stone, but as a human being, as a husband, as a father, as a failed businessman, a deeply religious abolitionist and revolutionary who believed that the lives of enslaved Black people were worth risking his own for. So I'm going to tell you the story of John Brown and the family that followed him into America's war over slavery. So before I do, is there anything, Chief or Bernard, that you guys know about John Brown? Do you know who he is? Have you heard his name? Is there something you can
I've heard his name.
I heard his name, but I don't know the history. But I'm glad
Yeah.
you're talking about this, Jay. Getting educated today.
So, John Brown is born on May 9th, 1800, in Torrington, Connecticut. The United States itself was less than 25 years old. Its leaders spoke proudly about liberty, natural rights, and government by the people. But you have hundreds of thousands of Black people who were enslaved. So the contradiction was already planted at the center of the nation. America celebrated freedom while allowing human beings to be bought, sold, beaten, separated from their children, and forced to work without compensation. So slavery wasn't just a Southern habit practiced by a few cruel individuals. It was an economic, political, and legal system. Enslaved labor produced tobacco, rice, sugar, and cotton. And banks financed the trade. Insurance companies protected slaveholders against financial losses. Merchants transported slave-produced goods. Governments enforced the ownership of human beings. The Constitution had been written through compromises that protected slavery without always using the word. Enslaved people increased Southern political representation through the 3/5 clause, even though those enslaved people couldn't vote or exercise citizenship. So oftentimes people say that they saw us as 3/5 of a human being, and that's not so. They counted us as 3/5 because if they had counted us as a whole, the South would control everything and nothing would change because the South believed in slavery. So the North said you can only count 60% of the slaves because if they counted 100%, they would have too much representation. The North wouldn't have any power. That's where that 3/5 compromise came from. So just for those of you who say they counted us as 3/5 of a person, that is not true. I really wish you would go and do some research so you'll understand the concept and where it came from. It was to protect us, not to harm us, because slavery might have never ended had the South been able to count slaves as 100%, even though they didn't vote and they had no power whatsoever. They could count them as part of being represented and then give them more legislators and more people in Congress. Good morning, Lario. So when John Brown was born, the international slave trade was still legal under federal law. Black families could be divided at an auction. Children could be sold away from their parents. Marriage between enslaved people generally had no secure legal protection. This was the world that John Brown inherited. John Brown's father was Owen Brown. Owen, his father, was strongly opposed to slavery. The Brown household combined strict religious beliefs with the idea that slavery was a sin. So John grew up hearing that faith required more than attending church. Faith demanded action. And this is an important distinction for who John Brown is going to grow up to be, that faith demanded action. So there were a lot of white people who claimed to oppose slavery in theory, but they still accepted it in practice. So some disapproved of slavery, but didn't believe that black people were equal. So even though they disapproved of slavery, they didn't think that black people were equal to them. There were others who wanted slavery to disappear gradually, as long as ending it didn't disrupt the economy. So, or didn't threaten political unity, or it didn't require personal sacrifice. John Brown rejected the comfortable position. To John Brown, slavery was not just an unfortunate institution to be debated politically. It was an organized violence against innocent human beings. John Brown believed that an enslaved person did not have the luxury of waiting another 50 years for freedom. A mother whose child had been sold couldn't be comforted by the promise that slavery might end someday. And a man being whipped couldn't postpone his pain until the nation became morally prepared. So John Brown eventually came to believe that peaceful persuasion had failed, because the people benefiting from slavery had no intention of surrendering their wealth and their power voluntarily. But in the early years of his life, he wasn't bearded yet. He wasn't a bearded revolutionary. He was a boy growing up in Ohio. And Soon after he was born, the Brown family moved west to Hudson, in what was at that time the frontier of Ohio. Ohio had entered the Union as a free state, but racial discrimination existed there as it did throughout much of the North. So black people could be denied political rights. They could be denied educational opportunities. They could be denied equal protection, even where slavery was prohibited. That's what makes what happened to black people systemic. What it means is systemic means that it's everywhere. It's in the system. That's why if you look at the 50 states, you can find heinous acts against black people, no matter what era it took place in, because what happened to blacks was systemic. So freedom in the North didn't mean equality. Freedom never meant equality. The same nation that allowed slavery in the South tolerated white supremacy throughout the country. Free black communities lived with the danger of being kidnapped and sold into slavery, of mob violence, and discriminatory laws. And this is what John Brown spent his life confronting, both the physical institution of slavery and the moral cowardice surrounding it. No, sir, coach. At that time, 90% of blacks lived in the South, even up to 1910. It wasn't until the Great Migration of the 20s and 30s that black people started spreading out around the country. So what John Brown came to believe was that there were moments when obeying human law meant disobeying the law of God. And that belief would eventually take him from Ohio, Pennsylvania, then Massachusetts, then New York, then Kansas, then finally Virginia. But the journey began with an experience that John Brown remembered from his childhood, an encounter with another boy. Good morning, Larry Brooks. It was a black boy. He was enslaved. And what John Brown witnessed will remain for him for the rest of his life. The National Park Service records that John Brown was born in Connecticut, moved to Ohio as a child, and developed his anti-slavery convictions through his religious upbringing and his exposure to the abuse of an enslaved child. But history often changes because someone decides that another person's suffering matters. Not because the victim looks like them, not because the victim belongs to their family, but because the suffering is suffering. Injustice is injustice. And humanity is humanity. And that seed was planted in John Brown. So John Brown would later recall saying that he had seen an enslaved black boy mistreated and beaten. They were close in age, but society had assigned them completely different values. John Brown was treated as a guest. The enslaved boy was treated as property. And John Brown said he saw that the boy was very poorly clothed, very poorly fed, and brutally handled. He said that image appears to, it's that image that appears to have forced a question into his young mind. How could one child be protected while another child could be beaten simply because of race and enslavement? So for John Brown, slavery became personal. This is one reason his story can't be understood only through military events. His campaign against slavery came from a moral and religious conviction developed over decades. John Brown believed the Bible taught the equality of human souls before God. He took it seriously. He took seriously the command to treat others as one would wish to be treated. He believed it was a sin to stand quietly while another person was robbed of his liberty. There was an intensity to his faith. He prayed regularly. He studied scripture and believed God assigned individuals particular duties. So Brown became convinced that destroying slavery was his own sacred assignment. At 16, he traveled east with the intention of studying for the ministry. He had poor health, problems with his eyesight, and a lack of money, and that's what interrupted his plans. So he returned back to Ohio, and he learned the tanning trade from his father. And the reason why that detail is important is because John Brown didn't begin life as a soldier. He was a tradesman. He worked with leather. He farmed. He surveyed land. He raised sheep. He invested in property. He entered the wool business. He attempted one enterprise after another, and a lot of the efforts that he had failed. John Brown spent much of his adult life struggling financially. He accumulated debts and moved his family repeatedly. His inability to create lasting financial stability placed an enormous burden on his wife and children. And this is part of his complete story. See, it would be easy to present him only as a heroic figure and ignore the cost his decisions imposed upon his family. But John Brown's household knew hardship long before Harper's Ferry. In 1820, when he was just 20 years old, John Brown married Diantha Lusk. They had 7 children, even though all of them didn't survive. Diantha died in 1832 after a childbirth. Then John Brown married Mary Ann Day the following year. She was only 17 when they married. They had 13 children together. So across both marriages, John Brown fathered 20 children. 9 died during childhood. Disease, accidents, and limited medical care of the 19th century brought repeated grief into his household. So imagine what that meant. John Brown and his family buried infants. They buried young children. They endured sickness. They endured financial uncertainty, and they endured constant relocation. That repeated experience with death may have affected John Brown's willingness to face death later. So, this is just an interpretation, but I believe it's reasonable to believe that a man who had stood beside so many family graves understood the fragility of life. John Brown didn't appear to believe that staying alive was life's highest purpose. To him, the important question was, what do you do with the life God gave you? I think it's something we all should ask. I think in today's world, that's what we should be asking. What should you do? What should I do? What should we do with the life that God gave us? That belief could inspire extraordinary courage. It could also lead to dangerous certainty. When a person believes that God has personally authorized his or her mission, compromise becomes difficult. Doubt can start to look like cowardice. Opposition can appear to be opposition to God. So John Brown's religious faith gave him strength, but it also contributed to his uncompromising nature. He was strict with himself and with his children. His family life could be disciplined and demanding. Yet, there are accounts that describe him with tenderness, particularly in the care of his first wife during her illnesses and his grief over his children. He wasn't just some emotionless warrior. He loved his family. So the tragedy is that his campaign against slavery drew that family into mortal danger. John Brown taught his children that slavery was evil. Several of his sons accepted that belief so completely that they followed him into an armed conflict. Not all of them agreed with every decision. Some became uncomfortable with violence. Some refused to participate in Harper's Ferry. But the family was united by a deeply rooted hostility to slavery. John Brown's anti-slavery commitment was not merely private. While living in Pennsylvania, he operated a tannery containing a concealed room that could shelter people escaping slavery. So the National Park Service identifies the property as part of his activity assisting freedom seekers. And that meant breaking or resisting laws designed to return people, enslaved people, back to their enslavement. It meant taking risks before he ever lifted a weapon in Kansas. See, John Brown had already chosen a side. He didn't believe that a law requiring the return of a human being to slavery deserved moral obedience. And that raises a question for all generations. When the law protects injustice, what is the responsibility of a moral person? Do you obey? Do you protest? Do you hide the victim? Do you resist? And at what point does resistance become violent? John Brown's life would become one long, difficult answer to those questions. The reason why I picked John Brown to talk about is because, oddly enough, a few days in a row, John Beckman came on this show to engage with us. John Beckman, for those of you who don't know, used to be on Kings in the Morning. He was a regular on Kings in the Morning. And I thought John Beckman to be a good friend. But John Beckman, over time, started showing us his true colors, things that he felt. And one thing in particular that rubbed me so badly that he couldn't be here again was when it came to George Floyd and the police officer that put his knee on George Floyd's neck. John Beckman said he couldn't necessarily disagree with that because he had to see both sides. And I can only imagine a black man, a black police officer doing that to a white man. And the outrage that John Beckman, I can only imagine the outrage that John Beckman and others would have. And yet, here's a young man that is literally being murdered right in front of us. And he said, I have to look at both sides. And I thought it best that he not return to this show again. Because when you see wrong happening, you got to stand up and you got to talk about it. And you got to go against and I had already proven who I was because John Beckman had been in a situation that I stood up for him. And I stood up for him because it was the right thing to do. and because what was taking place was wrong in my view, in my opinion. So a lot of times if he comes on and says anything, I ignore him. I don't even allow him to engage me. And another reason why is because, I vowed that I would never be violent. You did tell me about John Beckman long ago, Potter. That's when I was like, watch MJ, something ain't right. No, you're right. But I don't want to be violent. I don't want to look at things and say, I want to knock his block off. I want to, because sometimes John Beckman, if there's a person that can bring out the other side of me, it's John Beckman. Because of his racism and bigotry and prejudice and bias, and because he's so matter of fact about it. And when people are really good people, they don't have to tell you they're good people. They show you. It's on display. And so I just thought it important that you all understand why this story is important to me. Because, see, when you know better, you got to do better. And when it's in you, you don't have to prove it. See, John Brown he wasn't doing this to prove it to anybody. He was doing it because it was his conviction.
They say work harder each and every day. Keep my mind on the prize each and every way. I'm just trying to make a way. If you won't help me, then get out my way. I'm doing all the right things, trying to keep my head above water. But you think it's not enough? You think it's hard enough? Just living, not giving. Chasing luxury or a mansion or a key. Ooh, big dreams in little spaces. Come live in my tiny house. Maybe strong means smaller, but that's hard to say. Asking help on the internet to keep my place. All I know is keep my faith. Cause if you're not helping, then get out my way. I'm doing all the right things, trying to keep my head above water. But you think it's not enough? I think it's hard enough. Just living, not giving. Chasing luxury or a mansion or a key. Ooh, big dreams in little spaces. Come live in my tiny house. I'm doing all the right things. I'm trying to keep my head above water. Oh, because it's not enough. Just living, not giving. Chasing luxury or a mansion or a key. Ooh, big dreams in little spaces. Come live in my tiny house.
That's Albert Rideau. Tiny House. I thought we need a little music break right there.
I like that, Jay.
Nominated for Best Inspirational Social Commentary. So I told you John Brown is born in 1800. So now we're in the 1830s and 1840s. And John Brown is between 30 and 40 years old, and he's pursuing one business opportunity after another. So he's been a farmer, he's been a tanner, he's been a land surveyor, he's been a wool merchant, he's been a property speculator. So we know he possesses ambition and intelligence, but he just wasn't consistently successful. And his business affairs a lot of times were complicated, and he struggled with organization and debt. So why does that matter to the story? Well, it's because John Brown's failures helped shape how he viewed people. So to supporters, his poverty proved that he wasn't seeking personal wealth. To his critics, his failures suggested instability and poor judgment. And if we're looking for the truth, it's probably going to contain part of both of those interpretations. John Brown was capable of planning, capable of inspiring loyalty, and capable of taking extraordinary risks. He was also capable of unrealistic expectations. And that's the combination that will be clear at Harper's Ferry. So in Springfield, Massachusetts, John Brown went into a community with a strong network of Black and white abolitionists. Springfield was an important location for resistance to the Fugitive Slave Act and for people helping freedom seekers move toward safety. John Brown interacted with Black citizens as neighbors and political partners. And unlike a lot of white abolitionists of his era, he was known for entering Black homes, worshiping with Black congregations, and treating Black people with a level of social equality that was uncommon among white Americans. That doesn't mean that he was free from every 19th century assumption. But John Brown's willingness to accept Black leadership and fellowship distinguished him from other reformers who opposed slavery but still maintained racial distance. So in 1848, Frederick Douglass goes to visit John Brown. Frederick Douglass had already escaped slavery and had become one of the nation's most powerful writers and speakers. So John Brown shared with him an idea for attacking slavery through the Appalachian Mountains. And John Brown imagined small groups moving through the mountain, helping enslaved people escape, protecting them and making them human property that was very insecure. That property was not secure in those mountains. So John Brown and Frederick Douglass had a lot of respect for each other, but they didn't always agree. And Frederick Douglass understood the brutality of slavery firsthand. He'd been there. He had physically resisted an overseer and supported self-defense, but he also understood political organization. He understood newspaper work. He understood public speaking and the danger of poorly planned violence. And their relationship will become central to the Harper's Ferry story. So around the same time, there's another abolitionist, Garrett Smith, who offered land in New York's Adirondack region. He was offering land to black people. Property ownership could help black men meet New York's discriminatory property requirement for voting and could establish an economically independent community. Brown moved his family north to Elba, New York, near the black settlement commonly called Timbuktu. So he purchased land, and then he assisted neighbors with surveying, farming, clearing property, and building homes. And this tells us something important. Brown didn't envision freedom only as escape from chains. He understood that freedom required land, security, skills, and community, but he also started becoming impatient. Now it's 1850, so the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, he's 50 years old now, and it intensified the slavery crisis. Because with the Fugitive Slave Act, you could go get a slave from anywhere and bring him back. So the law strengthened federal support for the capture of people accused of escaping slavery and punished the people who assisted. So free black people were also placed in danger because an individual could be seized with limited opportunity to establish his or her status, and they, though free, could be brought back into slavery. So for John Brown, it proved, the law proved that slavery's power was expanding rather than weakening. The federal government wasn't neutral, courts weren't neutral, law enforcement wasn't neutral. The machinery of government was being used to protect slaveholders and return human beings to bondage. So John Brown helped organize resistance. He supported the creation of the League of Gileadites, a group prepared to resist attempts to capture black people under the Fugitive Slave Act. His message was direct: do not submit quietly. And this was a turning point in the anti-slavery thought. The question was no longer whether slavery was wrong. The question was whether enslaved and black people, free black people, had the right to physically resist kidnapping and enslavement. And John Brown's answer was yes. But there were things happening in the West that would soon demand his attention. In 1854, Congress passed the Kansas-Nebraska Act. And that act allowed settlers in those territories to determine whether slavery would be permitted, effectively overturning earlier restrictions on slavery's expansion. So pro-slavery and anti-slavery settlers started to flood into Kansas. The elections were corrupted, armed groups crossed borders, homes were burned, people were threatened, beaten, or killed, and several of John Brown's sons had moved to Kansas hoping to build new lives, and they helped make the territory free. And then they found themselves in the middle of an undeclared civil war. They sent word that they needed weapons and assistance. So John started heading west. He was in his mid-50s. He had no formal military command, but Kansas would transform him from a militant abolitionist into a national symbol of armed resistance. It would also cost him the life of a son. We're in Kansas City, or Kansas. It's not even Kansas City yet. It's just Kansas. It's the mid-1850s. It's not a peaceful political debate. We're talking about an armed conflict. The Kansas-Nebraska Act placed the future of slavery in the hands of settlers through what was called popular sovereignty. Pro-slavery forces from neighboring Missouri crossed into Kansas to influence the election. Anti-slavery settlers organized their own communities and governments, and that's where the violence escalated. And this is when the territory became known as Bleeding Kansas. 5 of John Brown's sons had moved there. They followed John Brown in 1855. They brought weapons. He quickly became involved in the free state cause. In May of 1856, pro-slavery forces attacked the anti-slavery town of Lawrence. Buildings were destroyed, printing presses were destroyed, and residents were terrorized. John Brown believed the free state movement had been too passive. So a little bit after that, John and a lot of his followers, including some of his sons, seized 5 pro-slavery settlers near Potawatomi, a creek, and killed them with swords. And this was called the Potawatomi Massacre. And to some, it remains the most disturbing and controversial act of John Brown's life. Because the victims weren't killed during a conventional battlefield exchange, they were taken from their homes at night and put to death. And John Brown viewed the killings as retaliation and as a warning to the pro-slavery forces. You know, a lot of people say that John Brown wanted to create fear among slavery supporters. But what the killings did was it intensified the retaliation and bloodshed. So opposing slavery didn't automatically make every action morally right. The victims at Potawatomi were human beings, and their deaths caused grief and anger. The action widened the cycle of violence. So some historians argue that John Brown targeted men who had threatened anti-slavery families. Others emphasize that the killings were premeditated and extrajudicial. Both facts belong in the story. Brown was fighting an evil institution, and he participated in a brutal act. And this is where the question of John Brown becomes difficult. Slaveholders and their allies already maintained power through organized violence. Enslaved people were whipped, tortured, raped, sold, and sometimes killed. Pro-slavery forces used threats and armed attacks to control Kansas. So John Brown concluded that refusing to answer violence with violence allowed slavery supporters to dominate. But people who criticize him say that John Brown became what he had claimed to oppose. His supporters believe he demonstrated that anti-slavery settlers would no longer be terrorized without resistance. And so conflict continued. So on August 30th, 1856, hundreds of pro-slavery men attacked the Free State settlement at Osawatomie. And John Brown had a much smaller force, and they tried to defend the community. So before the main battle, John Brown's son, Frederick, shot and killed. Frederick was 25 years old. So just imagine John Brown receiving the news that his son, his 25-year-old son, is dead before the main battle even starts. Here's the father who had already buried a lot of his children, some in infancy. And now he's learning that another one of his sons has died in the struggle against slavery. Frederick's death didn't turn John Brown away from the cause. What it did was harden him. So John Brown fought at Osawatomie and became known nationally as Osawatomie Brown. The town had mostly burned, and John Brown's forces were driven back, but his willingness to fight made him a symbol of resistance. I just want to take a minute just to let you take in the fact that this man has put his whole family on the chopping block. Not for anything to benefit them, because he don't benefit by the ending of slavery. He's sacrificing his family for a cause he believes in, because he believes in God so much that he put it all on the line. See, John Brown's attitude was, he's not going to send strangers into danger and keep his own children safe at home. His sons fought right next to him. And that fact can be interpreted in different ways. Some will say it proved his sincerity. He was prepared to risk everything he possessed, including those closest to him. But other people will ask whether a father's devotion to a cause should expose his children to death. And both questions are fair. You can ask both of them. But John Brown's children were adults who made choices. But they were also shaped by a powerful father whose religious and moral authority dominated the family. Frederick's death became part of the emotional road leading to Harper's Ferry. John Brown left Kansas, convinced that fighting small battles along slavery's borders was not enough. He wanted to strike at the institution itself. So that's when he began to raise money and seek support from influential abolitionists, and he gathered weapons. He ordered approximately 1,000 pikes, long shaft that fit with metal blades, and he hoped those weapons could be placed into the hands of people escaping slavery. He developed plans for an anti-slavery government, and he sought Black allies in the United States and Canada. His objective was to no longer simply stop slavery from entering Kansas. John Brown intended to invade a slave state and began a liberation movement. The target would be Harper's Ferry, Virginia, a town where the federal government stored thousands of weapons, a town surrounded by mountains, a town within reach of plantations and enslaved communities. The plan was bold, but it was also deeply flawed. John Brown is no longer simply a father, farmer, or Underground Railroad supporter. John Brown is preparing for war. And he knows his own family may once again pay the price. You guys want me to keep going with this, or y'all want to?
Yeah, Jay.
No.
Very interesting.
Jay, you enlighten us with some fascinating facts, man. Please continue.
Have you looked inside yourself? Do you know your depth? Will you
Put yourself on
examine
mute,
the
please.
essence of your heart? Or will you run from self?
be afraid of what you might find there. Embrace it and be free. Learning self can be beautiful. That's how I'm changing me. Set you free, set you free, set you free. Only you can set you free. Set you free, set you free, set you free. Only you can set you free. Have you been to the other side? Have you been to the other side? Have you called you out? Have you made amends with self? Have you? Or do you still hold doubts? Don't be afraid to let emotion show. Emotion show. Let your pain go free. Open up to the love you know. And let your love light be. Set you free, set you free. Set you free, set you free, set you free. Only you can set you free. Set you free, set you free, set you free. Only you can set you free. Have you been to the other side? Have you been to the other side?
So, after leaving Kansas, hold on one second, you guys. Hey, Ivan, you called me. I'm on the air. You called me. Are we good? Are we good? Huh? We're good for 11, right? Okay, what text me the records that you want lyrics to. If you send me a text, you know I'm asleep at 10 o'clock. So if you send me a text, then I'll wake up in the morning, I'll send them to you. So text me the songs. All right. So the cloth is here.
No, Jay, continue your story, man.
Okay. So after leaving Kansas, John Brown traveled north, and that's when he started to raise the money for his anti-slavery operation. So he started meeting privately with a group of supporters that they would later call the Secret Six. And what these men did was provide financial help. Even though they may not have understood all of the plans, the details, or the exact timing of his plan, they gave money, and John Brown purchased weapons and continued developing a strategy that he considered for years. So his vision wasn't necessarily a single battle where a small force defeated the United States government. What he imagined was establishing a base in the Appalachian Mountains, and from there, groups could move into plantation regions, help enslaved people escape, provide weapons, and withdraw back into the mountains, into their stronghold, and that the movement would grow, and that plantations would become unstable, and slaveholders wouldn't feel secure anymore in the ownership of owning human beings. He felt like enslaved workers would disappear from farms and in the fields, and that the financial value of slavery would collapse. And John Brown hoped that the system might be destroyed through a spreading of a liberation campaign. And the plan combined elements of the Underground Railroad, guerrilla warfare, and mass resistance. And John Brown believed enslaved people could join once they saw a credible armed force prepared to defend them. But this is where there's a major problem. communication with enslaved communities was limited. So the plan depended on rapid movement, secrecy, and local support. And John Brown just didn't have enough trained fighters. And he had no reliable method for informing large numbers of enslaved people that the raid was going to start. And he also underestimated the speed with which local militia and federal forces would respond. So in May of 1858, John Brown held a convention in Clapham, Canada West, which is now what we call Ontario. Black and white supporters met to discuss his plans and adopt a provisional constitution for a government intended to operate in territories liberated from slavery. So the meeting reflected John Brown's desire to organize more than a raid. What he imagined was an alternative political structure founded in resistance to slavery. And so for him, Black participation was essential. So John Brown didn't believe enslaved people should remain passive while white rescuers acted on their behalf. His plan required Black men and women to become agents of their own liberation. But with all this, Frederick Douglass remained unconvinced. So in August of 1859, John Brown again meets with Frederick Douglass, and where they Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, and he asked him to join the operation, but Frederick Douglass said no. And Frederick Douglass warned John Brown that attacking the federal armory at Harper Ferry was like walking into a steel trap. Frederick Douglass said the mountains might support a guerrilla campaign, but when you enter the holding the town, that would invite overwhelming military force. And Frederick Douglass was right. Shields Green, who was a Black man who had escaped slavery and was traveling with Frederick Douglass, made a different decision. Shields Green chose to join John Brown. And of course, that choice would cost Shields Green his life. But the friendship between John Brown and Frederick Douglass shows that the two different approaches to liberation. Frederick Douglass used speech and writing and political pressure and organizing. He never denied the right of an enslaved person to resist, but he believed Brown's specific plan was likely to fail. And John Brown believed that a delay itself would be a form of surrender. So the Library of Congress documents the 11-year relationship between Frederick Douglass and his refusal to participate in the final raid, and that Frederick Douglass later honored John Brown as a hero and martyr while acknowledging the raid's military failure. John Brown established his staging ground at the Kennedy Farm in Maryland, approximately 5 miles from Harper's Ferry, and he used the name Isaac Smith. So throughout the summer of 1859, men arrived quietly and hid inside the farmhouse. They cleaned weapons, they read, they studied maps, they discussed plans, they waited. The group was interracial. Some were free Black men. At least one had been an escaped slave, and some were white veterans of the fighting in Kansas. And they came from different backgrounds, but all were willing to risk their lives against slavery. And among them were 3 of John Brown's sons, Owen, Watson, and Oliver. He had a 15-year-old daughter, Annie, who also came to the farm, and so did Martha, Oliver's 17-year-old wife. So Annie and Martha cooked, cleaned, watched the road, and helped make the farmhouse appear to be an ordinary family residence. And their presence reduced neighbors' suspicion, while more than 20 conspirators hid nearby. So think about that. Annie Brown was 15. Martha was 17. They weren't holding rifles during the raid, but they were participants. So discovery could have resulted in their arrest and possibly violence or death. So John Brown's campaign was now a family operation. Mary Brown, John's wife, understood that the mission could destroy what remained of her household. And after her husband's capture, she expressed hope that even the ruin of her family might produce some benefit for enslaved people. Those words alone are almost unbearable. Here's a mother who had already buried children, who was preparing to lose more. The Brown family's anti-slavery commitment wasn't symbolic. They were placing their bodies, their futures, and their relationships on the altar of freedom. I want to introduce you to some of the men because Harper's Ferry was not the work of one man. 21 men participated in the immediate raid. And then you have Anna and Martha that are supporting the operations at the Kennedy Farm. If you, the National Park Service describes the group as black and white, wealthy and poor, free and formerly enslaved, but united by the objective of ending slavery. 16 participants and supporters ultimately lost their lives as a consequence of the operation. Owen was one of John Brown's older sons. He had fought in the Kansas and was appointed a captain in his father's provisional army. And during the Harper's Ferry operation, Owen remained on the Maryland side guarding weapons and supplies. When the raid collapsed, Owen led several survivors through the mountains to safety. He escaped capture and eventually moved west. He died in California in 1889. Owen gave years of his life to his father's campaign, but unlike his brothers, Oliver and Watson, he survived Harper's Ferry. Watson Brown was 24 years old. He had a wife and a baby. And unlike some of his brothers, Watson had not been deeply involved in the Kansas fighting. Yet, when his father prepared for Harper's Ferry, Watson joined him, and during the raid, Watson carried a white flag. In an attempt to negotiate, he was shot and mortally wounded. He remained alive for roughly 2 days. So imagine John Brown trapped inside the engine house, watching his son suffer and knowing that medical help wouldn't save him. So Watson dies on October 19th after the raid had ended. And you had Oliver Brown. Oliver was 21. He was the youngest Brown son that participated in the raid. He had married Martha Brewster the previous year. Oliver and Martha traveled together to Kennedy Farm. While Martha helped protect the secrecy of the operation, Oliver prepared to fight. Oliver was shot during the battle on October 17th. He suffered through the night and died early the next morning. So the National Park Service records John Brown telling his wounded son that if he had to die, he was dying in the cause of liberty. So John Brown had already lost Frederick in Kansas. Now Oliver lay dead. Watson is dying. 3 sons sacrificed in 3 years. Annie didn't enter Harper's Ferry with a gun, but without people like Annie and Martha, the raid couldn't have remained secret through the summer. Annie watched neighbors, managed appearances, and lived among armed men preparing for an attack on the federal arsenal. John Brown sent Annie and Martha home several weeks before the raid, and that is the decision that likely saved their lives. Dangerfield Newby, his story reminds us why black men joined Brown. Newby had gained his own freedom, but his wife and children remained enslaved in Virginia. So he attempted to purchase them, but the slaveholder refused to complete the sale. Letters from Newby's wife pleaded with him to rescue the family because she feared they would be sold. So Newby joined Brown's raid, hoping to liberate people like his wife and children. And he became the first of Brown's raiders killed at Harper's Ferry. The letters from his wife were found in his body, and she and the children were later sold. When we discuss whether the raid was too extreme, we got to remember Dangerfield Newby. What was he supposed to do? Wait and politely ask that his wife be sold to him? Should he appeal to a legal system that defined her as property that wasn't going to do anything about it anyway? Should he have raised money to purchase the enslaved so the enslaver couldn't refuse? The Nubi's participation was not theoretical politics. It was a husband trying to reach his family. Shields Green. Shields Green had escaped slavery in South Carolina. He met Brown through Frederick Douglass. So when Frederick Douglass declined to join the raid, Shields Green said he wanted to stay. He wanted to go do the raid. So Green entered Harper's Ferry and was captured, and he was executed. He had escaped slavery once, and yet he returned to a slave state to fight for the freedom of others. That's selflessness. Then you got John Copeland and Lewis Leary. Leary. John Copeland was a free black man and a student at Oberlin College. Lewis Leary was Copeland's uncle. He left behind a wife and an infant child. Leary was mortally wounded during the raid. Copeland was captured, tried, and hanged. These men were not manipulated children blindly following John Brown. They were black abolitionists making conscious decisions in a nation that denied the humanity of millions. That's why I tell you guys you have to vote. That's why I talk to you about voting, because you got to understand the suffering and sacrificing that took place to allow you to be able to vote and to have a voice. And you can't take that lightly. And that's the message we should be spreading in our communities. Osborne Anderson was a free black man. Osborne Perry Anderson. He was living in Canada. He survived the raid, and he later wrote an eyewitness account titled A Voice from Harper's Ferry. Anderson's survival is historically important because it allowed a black participant to describe the operation from his own perspective rather than leaving the story entirely in the hands of Brown's admirers or enemies. The raiders differed in age, race, class, and experience. Some had families, some were barely adults, some had escaped slavery, some had fought in Kansas. They knew that capture in Virginia could mean execution, and they went anyway. That doesn't prove that the plan was wise, but it proves that their opposition to slavery was real. America oftentimes honors people who fought for liberty after the outcome is known. But John Brown and his raiders acted before victory was guaranteed. They could not know that slavery would be abolished in 1865. They could not know that future generations would build monuments, write books, or sing songs about them. They knew only that millions were enslaved and that somebody had to act. It's Sunday evening, October 16th, 1859. John Brown is gathering his men at the Kennedy farm. They're probably praying. And then John Brown is probably distributing final instructions. And shortly after 8 o'clock, John Brown and 18 men begin moving toward Harper's Ferry. 3 remain behind to guard weapons and supplies. The town sits where the Potomac and the Shenandoah rivers meet. Bridges, railroad lines, industrial buildings, they all make it strategically important because Brown's men seized the bridge, the Federal Armory, the arsenal, and the rifle works. At first, the operation proceeds with surprising ease. The Armory watchman is overpowered, telegraph lines are cut, hostages are taken, including Lewis Washington, a relative of George Washington. Enslaved people belonging to Washington and other slaveholders are brought into town and released from immediate control. So Brown possesses the armory. Thousands of weapons are within their reach, but now the plan begins to fail. Brown doesn't immediately withdraw into the mountains. He remains in town. Why? Why does he stay there? A lot of historians debated that question for generations. Maybe he was waiting for enslaved people to arrive. Maybe he was unwilling to abandon hostages. Maybe he believed he could negotiate. And perhaps age, exhaustion, or emotional hesitation affects his judgment. Whatever the reason, every hour allowed opposition to organize. A Baltimore and Ohio passenger train approached the bridge. A free black railroad worker named Hayward Shepard came forward to investigate the delay. Shepard was shot and mortally wounded, the first civilian victim of the raid for the free black man. That tragic fact complicated Brown's claim that the operation existed to liberate black people. There's an uncertainty over exactly who fired the fatal shot, but Shepard's death became powerful propaganda for Brown's opponent. John Brown allowed the train to continue, and that decision enabled news of the raid to spread rapidly. By daylight, townspeople were arming themselves. Militias started arriving. Escape routes were cut off. Gunfire erupted. Dangerfield Newby is killed. William Lehman is shot while attempting to cross the river. John Cagey, one of Brown's most trusted officers, died trying to escape across the Shenandoah. Lewis Leary was mortally wounded. John Copeland was captured. Harpers Ferry Mayor Fontaine Beckham was shot and killed after moving too close to the fight. And then there's an enraged mob captures William Thompson. William Thompson killed him, and then threw his body in the river. John Brown's forces are collapsing. Some men are escaping from positions outside of the engine house. Owen Brown and a lot of others fled through the mountains. Inside town, John Brown and the remaining raiders were pushed into a small brick fire engine building, and that structure would become known as John Brown's Fort. Brown held hostages inside. His sons, Oliver and Watson, were gravely wounded. Outside, hundreds of militia members and citizens that are armed and spectators that are armed, they crowd the area. Late on October 17th, Colonel Robert E. Lee arrived with approximately 90 United States Marines. Lee would later command the principal Confederate Army during the Civil War. A young cavalry officer named J.E.B. Stewart delivered a demand for surrender. John Brown refused to surrender without conditions. At approximately 7 o'clock on the morning of October 18th, Marines attacked. They used the ladder as a battering ram against the engine house door. The first attempt failed. The Marines struck again. The door broke open. Fighting inside was brief and violent. A Marine was killed. Raiders Jeremiah Anderson and Daphne Thompson were killed. John Brown was struck and badly wounded by Lieutenant Israel Green. Brown survived partly because Green's sword bent or failed to penetrate as intended, and the raid was over. It had lasted approximately 36 hours. 10 of Brown's men were dead. 5 escaped. Others were captured and later executed. 16 people died during the immediate fighting, including raiders, townspeople, and an enslaved man in the United States Marine. Militarily, Harpers Ferry was a failure. Brown didn't begin the mass uprising he expected. He didn't establish a mountain base. He didn't liberate thousands, and he lost most of his force. His 2 sons died. He was captured. But the political effect of the raid was enormous. The news traveled across the country. White Southerners feared that Brown represented a larger Northern conspiracy to arm enslaved people, and a lot of white Northerners initially condemned the raid as reckless, criminal, or insane, but Brown's conduct after capture began transforming the public opinion. He was wounded, he was facing death, and he spoke calmly. He denied that robbery or personal gain had motivated him. He insisted that his purpose was to free enslaved people. The raid failed on the battlefield, but John Brown was about to turn his courtroom and jail into a national platform. John Brown was transported to Charlestown, Virginia, and placed on trial. The legal proceedings moved quickly. He was charged with treason against Virginia, murder, and conspiring with enslaved people to rebel. John Brown was not a Virginia citizen, creating a disputed question over whether he could commit treason against that state. His attorney sought delays, arguing that they needed more time to prepare and bring witnesses. Those requests were largely unsuccessful, and the trial began on October 27th, only 9 days after his capture. John Brown was still injured. At times, he had to lay on a cot inside the courtroom. After 5 days, the jury found him guilty. They deliberated for approximately 45 minutes. Before sentencing, John Brown addressed the court. In his statement, it became one of the most powerful anti-slavery declarations of the 19th century. Brown said that he had intended to free enslaved people. He denied seeking murder, treason, or destruction for his own sake. He reminded the court that the people might have praised him had he suffered on behalf of the wealthy and powerful, but because he acted for enslaved people, his actions were treated differently. John Brown rejected the idea that his work had been wicked. He acknowledged that the lives had been lost, and he accepted the sentence. The condemned prisoner had turned the moral judgment back on the nation. Virginia's courts could condemn John Brown, but what court would judge slavery? Who had been tried for the kidnapping of generations? Who had been hanged for separating mothers from children? Who had been convicted for the rape, torture, and forced labor of enslaved people? John Brown was guilty of participating in violence, but the institution he attacked had been maintained by violence for more than 2 centuries. During the weeks between the sentencing and the execution, John Brown wrote letters and received visitors. His words circulated through northern newspapers. He refused efforts to portray him as mentally incompetent. John Brown believed that an insanity defense would discredit both his purpose and ability of an anti-slavery activist to act rationally. He wanted the country to understand that he knowingly chose his course. Frederick Douglass later argued that while he had worked hard against slavery with words, John Brown had fought it with his blood. Douglass described the raid as a thunderclap that awakened a nation seeking into moral death. He argued that the violence at Harper's Ferry couldn't be separated from centuries of violence committed through the slave trade and slavery. And on December 1st, Mary Brown visited her husband in jail, and they shared a final meal. And she would soon be carrying his body back to North Elba, New York. The next morning, on December 2nd, Brown wrote his final warning that the nation's crimes would not be purged without blood. He was transported to the gallows. The trap opened. John Brown died by hanging. He was 59 years old. He was buried near his home in North Elba. Additional captured raiders, including Shields Green, John Copeland, Edwin Coppock, and John Cook, were executed in the following weeks. Aaron Stevens and Albert Hazlitt were hanged in March of 1860. Brown had failed to destroy slavery during his lifetime, but he helped destroy the belief that slavery question could be postponed forever. Harper's Ferry intensified Southern fear and Northern anti-slavery feelings, and the collapse of national compromise. In April of 1861, Confederate forces fired upon Fort Sumter. The Civil War began, and Union soldiers eventually marched while singing a song declaring that John Brown's body lay in the grave while his spirit continued onward. The man had died. The issue for which he died was now tearing the nation apart. How should we remember John Brown? Should we not remember him as a perfect man? Perfect men don't exist. John Brown could be rigid, impractical, and violent. He made decisions that cost lives. But we must also judge John Brown inside the moral reality of his time. He lived in a country where enslaving human beings was lawful, a country where the government forced freedom seekers back into bondage, a country where slaveholders could sell children, break families, and use physical terror to extract labor. Millions were trapped inside that system. Many political leaders called for patience. Many religious leaders found scripture to defend slavery. Many citizens disliked slavery but opposed any action that threatened national unity. John Brown refused to make peace with it. The Library of Congress described him as a militant abolitionist whose courage and willingness to die made him a martyr and a warning of the violence soon to consume the country. John Brown gave his life, but he didn't sacrifice alone. His son Frederick died in Kansas. Oliver died at Harper's Ferry. Watson died from his wounds at Harper Ferry. Owen risked execution and lived as a fugitive. Annie risked her arrest while helping conceal the operation. Martha Brown supported the missions and then lost her young husband. Mary Brown endured the destruction of her household and carried her husband's body home. Dangerfield Newby died attempting to reach a wife and children held in slavery. Shields Green escaped slavery and then returned to fight for others. John Copeland and Lewis Leary left relative safety and entered Virginia in the name of freedom. These people were not merely following history, they were making history. They didn't free 4 million people. Their raid didn't free 4 million people, but it forced 4 million enslaved people into the center of a national conversation. John Brown made it impossible to discuss slavery only as a question of laws, elections, economics, and compromise. He placed a more basic question before America. John Brown's life leaves us with questions that remain relevant. Are we willing to sacrifice for justice? Do we oppose injustice only when opposition is comfortable? Will we stand for people outside our race, family, religion, or social group? And when future generations examine our time, will they find that we recognized evil but lacked the courage to confront it? John Brown was not flawless, but he was not indifferent. He chose a side. He gave everything he had, his resources, his freedom, his family security, his children's participation, and finally, his life. And that brings me to us. Are we willing to do things to help others? Are we willing? Do you understand why it is important to vote? Why it's important to make your voice heard? Why it's important to stand up when you see things, even when it may put you in danger? When I say put you in danger, whether it's your life or your livelihood, because I am. Coach, I'm in the middle of a show. I'm not checking my emails for nothing. King, as for John Beckman, I created one of my favorite quotes when it comes to that racist, something he can really relate to. Fuck John Beckman now, fuck John Beckman tomorrow, and fuck John Beckman forever. Courtesy, George Wallace. So, who got all that noise? God damn. So, do you believe Frederick Douglass and MLK had the same vision in their approach to liberty and opportunity as being militant? No, Coach. I believe Frederick Douglass, if he thought there was a viable plan, that he would. Thank you, Fred. That he would have been as if he thought it was a violent plan that could work, that he would have been as game as anyone, because Frederick Douglass wasn't no punk. But I think he understood what was at stake, and he knew that his voice was more important. And I don't know why Snitchy didn't. Kent, are you there?
Oh man, that girl is a dodo.
Yeah, I don't know why she.
God damn. I mean, but she's a beautiful black woman, Jay. I told her I would say that. Fuck. God damn. That was beautiful, Jay. That story was beautiful, man.
So I just want people to know that, everybody, just because somebody is white don't mean they're your worst enemy.
Mm-mm.
Just because somebody black don't mean they're your best friend. My mama said you judge people based on how they treat you and how they treat others. So I've always lived by that. And I love John Brown. I hate that 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 that's that's the way he left us.
Yeah, my man. And my rebirth. God damn, she put me on mute. What the fuck for? The fuck did I do for you to put me on mute?
What did he do?
What
Why
the
you
fuck? Because I'm lighting a fucking joint. With
leave him
my-
alone?
God damn.
Leave him alone.
The fuck?
What is going on with you?
She loves me, Jay.
Well, you know what? I mean, you guys got to deal with that, man, but you guys got to do that on your own personal time.
Noise. My lighter? What the
Yeah,
fuck?
Yeah, you've been.
Oh my
Back
God,
up.
man.
You know
Man,
what?
you should see her and Ali together, man. Y'all stop yelling at me. All right, man. What the fuck? Why the fuck you be tripping? Shit, that shit is crazy, man. You beautiful black woman. Fuck. But yeah, my rebirth, man. Studying John Brown was a must. John Brown, man, is that brother was harder and more dedicated and held conviction more than black people did. And I saw that, man. I have much respect for John Brown.
He lived a long time, considering his heroic activities. He lived. I mean,
And get pop rocks out of your mic bum. Ain't that a B? Oh my God. Okay, what noise does my mic have? I did this. I was doing this.
What?
Like
No,
my life.
I didn't hear no noise.
It was like echoing or rattling a little bit, but it wasn't that
You
bad.
know what?
But it was making noise.
I don't need you keeping up for her.
I'm not keeping up for it, Jay. I'm just telling the truth.
It sounds like you keeping up for.
No, sir. But back to what we was talking about, Jay. You lighten us on a lot of stuff that we all should know about John Brown. And I'm gonna do more deep dive and do some more myself. I'm really enlightened, impressed about the presentation today. Thank you.
You enlightened about John Brown?
I mean, by all the facts about John Brown, I didn't know the total story. I knew part of it and heard of it. Didn't remember everything, but it was nice to be enlightened today about it.
Yep, I think a lot of people didn't know the full detail of it, how it all happened. What he gave up. That he gave his man. He gave everything. He gave everything, man. He gave his whole family.
yeah, that he did.
And black people today can't comprehend the cloth.
Well, that's why.
How is this?
But that's why we got to vote. That's why we gotta really engage in this system, and we got to overturn it. Yeah.
Hey Jay, there are numerous gun clubs, John Brown gun clubs around the country,
Yeah.
and in researching them, it looks like the government is trying to paint them as Antifa.
Right. Because they know what they know how to take they know how to let white supremacy live and take liberation out. I gotta get ready, so I'm gonna listen to you guys while I'm getting ready for my next thing.
Can't tell you what's good, my
Yeah.
brother.
This weed.
That it
Want
must
some?
be.
Take a hit.
Bernie, grab that, bro.
Haven't you, Bernard?
Wait, like I'm in the truck.
Oh no,
Wait, like I'm in the truck.
I'm sure it'll take me to the other side. I'm good.
Gonna get higher. What James Brown said,
Man.
doom, 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 doom. We're gonna get higher. We hit it today, Bernie.
I gotta go to Chowchilla, but it's a bad day. I didn't get home till 12:30 last night. I was committed yesterday, and then they had a strike in the middle of the day, and so then I could have waited. I said, "No, I'm gonna go ahead and do what I have to do," even though it took me a long time. Because I mean, they had. I don't know if you know where C&H Sugar at
Yeah.
on Crockett. Yeah, they had a strike. They having a strike over there, and it's the same ILW, same union. So these guys chose to walk out yesterday and to support them. And I mean, it just makes a mess, man. It takes if they down for a day, man, it take 3 days to clean the mess up. That's
Wow.
ridiculous.
So that's the
Yeah.
reason why in a lot of black men today, after the 1800s, that took place in 1800s, you don't even have black men that know the facts about someone like John Brown.
No,
That's
no,
why a movement like that is led. They fear Antifa and not you.
right.
They fear
And they,
Antifa and not you.
I don't believe that's even in the school curriculum.
Well, I am the school. Build up your own curriculum.
I agree.
For like I said, it took a rebirth within my house, my cell, my
Right.
church, within
Right.
me, to have that. To where, when Jay reads something, he started it off by, today we're going to be kind of serious. So when I came in, I didn't want to hear the cloth is here. I wanted to hear the continuance of the story so all of us can hear about this important issue that Jay was bringing up. Because you got other cultures that care about their culture. But you have us, black men, all of us over 50 years old. Some don't know the in-depth about John Brown. But some of us don't know the depth of John Brown. That's tragic. That's tragic. That's why they fear Antifa and don't give a fuck about you. They'll give you a roast and have, like Kevin Hart, and have The Rock tell you to sit on his lap. See? Because they don't take you serious. Because your mind hasn't been filled with new wine. There's so much new wine being poured, and you don't even have your glass out to get a drip of it. Because someone like the cloth will come talk to you. Oh, nigga, that nigga crazy, that nigga bumble, that nigga bumfoozle, that nigga bumbleclay, that nigga, oh man, praise the Lord. I love that. I have communion. I commune with the Lord, the Most High, to know to be equipped when I come back from the other side. Because there's so much work to be done. So much work to be done. Yeah. So y'all continue with y'all. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
After that subject that Jay just read, how the mood just shifted. couldn't piggyback on it, couldn't add
Like
to
I,
it.
like I said, I'm surprised he lived as long as he did. There was other John Browns. They just didn't live that long. They killed them type of people, man.
Yeah, they killed like why Beckman not here. They killed they put the yeah, they killed him.
Wow. Preach, Cloth.
I'm not preaching, I'm speaking facts.
Yes.
You saw it. You saw it. He got killed right before your eyes. Why isn't there men like us to speak up against that right now in continuance? So much happened before COVID. COVID made you forget everything. You don't remember how a nigga, a black man, a black king was being killed every fucking month. Maybe two, running away, selling cigarettes, no matter what the case. You wouldn't find in other people being killed that way. And then comes
Facts.
COVID. And you forget everything, and they're using the same tactics today because it became revamped with the letter people. The letter people took your spot after COVID. Then, they have more say-so in it than you. Because there's really no leader. You waiting for a leader. Instead of you speaking up. You the leader. Where two or three are touching and agreeing. I am in the midst, says the Lord. You can't even you find one talk about it here. You can't get two because the one will get muted. But that's cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's cool in the game. That shit is cool in the game because I know that Christ got crucified. Stephen got martyred. He was a martyr for the cause. No one today will speak up to be a martyr. And you don't have to die for it. It's to live. The inheritance is yours. It ain't meant for you to die to go through this. It's meant for you to live and be the rulers of the New Jerusalem. Somebody got to do it. It's written that the New Jerusalem is really here. But who really can sit at the king's table? Have you been to the other side? And when you come back, what you gonna say about it? What you got to say about the other side?
A lot of us haven't been to the other side yet, bro.
Well, that's why,
A lot of us don't even know what side we on. Sadly, but truly spoken.
Chief, did they
get on the
did
most
they
high side.
did they release that young man's autopsy this morning?
They're supposed to do it this week, the private autopsy. See, I found out that the one of the kids that was on the boat, the one who had the mother's a judge, her husband's supposed to be the one that did the autopsy, which is crazy. But I'm glad they got the body out of the state so it can be done fair and objectively. But they haven't released it yet. See, they waiting on a private autopsy, and the private autopsy waiting on theirs so they can call them when they lie. So it's like a stand-up. But I think they're gonna go ahead and release theirs, and then dude's just gonna have to change his up because you're gonna have to justify how yours is different than the independent one, and you're supposed to have first crack at it.
They did release the independent one.
They did?
They released the preliminary findings. and they said they're saying it's non-conclusive. They're saying they're showing some type of trauma to the back of his neck, but to what extent they don't say, and they're saying that it's not at this point it's not conclusive.
Oh,
So we don't know.
in
We
other
don't know
words,
yet.
could have hit a rock in the water or anything. They don't. Yeah, it's that type of. Yeah.
At least it sounds like some of the conspiracy was debunked, that he was beaten to death by the boys and urinated on, which was pretty far out there. Well,
Did they find him in some water or had to do something with his
yeah,
body in the water? Well,
they
how
took
did
him
they
in
know
water.
how do they know they urinated on him?
No, this was somebody saying that. That was somebody.
That's why
saying
he
that.
said that. He said that's all rumor. You know how bullshit.
Yeah, somebody on social media was saying that. Some white dude was saying that on social
See,
media.
looking for reaction. They looking for reactionary people.
Right,
The
exactly.
fact is, black men are in a continuum of being killed after COVID. That's what's
What a
really
lot.
happening.
But the logic of that is to put out so many false narratives so they can confuse the facts and trial with doubt. So if he wants to be convicted beyond a reasonable doubt, confuse everything with doubt to try to misguide the trial. That's the role, I believe.
And you know what? Oh, no. The deal is this: we're in a world now where people can make up and say anything,
Mm-hmm.
and when something is said, it doesn't have to be based in fact. So now what you get is you get a lot of people, you get a lot of emotion, and you get a lot of misinformation. And so now you got all the stuff. We don't know what's fact or fiction.
Yeah.
That's why you have to stop and just wait and let the investigation be what it's going to be. They got real people on both sides. Once the investigation is there and they start to have those conversations, that's when we should start looking at the information. But they have people that had him away and then there and then his body going.
Mhm.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
bullshit. And so if you jump onto one of these stories, not knowing the facts, and there are no facts here. And that's why, you got to let the facts exist and stop trying to put what you think should be the fact. A lot of people are putting what they think should be the fact. I'm going to tell you what I think happened right now. I'm going to tell you what happened. Because, see, I had some friends, Bartholomew and Catherton. And I'm going to tell you what they used to do to me. One day, Bartholomew and Catherton, so we out playing. So now they got their own story, right? But nobody is dealing with facts. So the fact of the matter is, these are the facts that we know. That these kids went over to this island, they went together. And when they came back, the black kid didn't come back and they found him drowned. Those are the things that we know are facts. Everything else is just conjecture. And until they're the only people that really know the facts are the young people that were there and the unfortunate kid that was killed. Now, there are things that you can say are unusual. And I would say that, hey, they had his phone. But then there are people there that say that they often did that. That they, because the phones can get wet, they give the phones to one person, and that they always did that. But it's still unusual for us. I wouldn't give my phone to somebody if I'm swimming. We also have to understand, and we know that it happened. I know that it happened in my lifetime. Robert Massey, who went to school with me at Del Paso Elementary, went swimming one day in the American River over off of Discovery Park, and he drowned. And not because he couldn't swim, but because those kind of bodies of water have undercurrents. People jump off of bridges. We remember Kente when they used to jump off the bridge into the Discovery River, and the guy jumped into the water and never came up.
The American River. That was the American River.
The American River, yeah. So
That's where you the rafting at.
So I'm just saying that I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, and I don't want to feed into conjecture or any of the, because what's going to happen is, let's say on both sides, with the parents and the other side, they both say that it was an accidental drowning. Then what? People gonna say, I don't care what nobody say. It wasn't no accidental drowning. It can't be. I don't believe that. People gonna make what it is because we're now in a world where social media becomes mainstream media. We buy into it like it's it's on social media, it's real. I'm not gonna say that that's real. I'm gonna wait and see, and then I'm gonna weigh in once I see what it is.
Stir up your emotions to say that they pissed on him.
Yeah.
To confuse you.
To get ready for my.
Like you say, the thing is, if they let other people hold their phone, why is the information erased off of his phone?
Right. And why would
Test
why
the mic
would they?
check 1 2. Am I choking?
No, you're loud
Am I
and
choked
clear.
out?
Nope. You're loud and clear. He's going out and come back. Y'all still there?
I say it was erased. According to them, you can't erase stuff. They can go right in there and get it. So
But
what was
They
it?
can find
Any
it. They can find
text
it.
in on your cell phone, whatever provider is supposed to keep a server for like 5 to 7 years. So you can erase it off the phone, but it's still on the database.
Yeah, they can find
Yeah,
it.
but see, the thing is, the point is, if you give the phone to one person, why is his phone information erased? No matter what, you can get it back. Why
Right.
is his erased?
Shouldn't have been tampered with. You're right. They shouldn't have tampered with the phone.
And why did they delete all their social media accounts?
And
Why did his
yeah,
friends delete the social media accounts and left their friend on the island? You don't leave your friend out there on the island.
You don't leave your friend at a club, yet alone a damn island. Come on now.
you got to recognize that America is an entity, and it's a she, and there's spirits in the world, and there are spirits in America that's still here. That same spirit that could led conviction into John Brown to become an abolitionist, to abolish something. That's what it's really about. To abolish. This shit gotta be abolished. It's gonna be a new Jerusalem. That means what is stated today is gonna be abolished because it's gonna be new. It can't exist. It can be used as a reference. America is gonna be used as a reference no matter how good it gets. You can always keep that reference on what it was. So America is not the New Jerusalem. The New Jerusalem is going to be new. Bernard, your mic is making a lot of noise in the wind. I don't know why the fuck Snitchy didn't just put you on mute. But she'll listen to this. And then there's an echo. My God. You act like black men can't reason and have judgment. You get caught up in your own action. It's dumbfounded. Or dumbfounding. dumbified. Dodoism even.
Then I watched a clip where they were shooting. You know the young man Charleston White. They shooting at him in Houston.
Whoa, they were shooting at Charleston White in Houston?
Some of the, his delivery, something gonna happen to that young man. But I mean, nobody's completely right or wrong. But it just the way he go about things is it may get him. One day, it might not work out for him. Yeah.
No, I concur with that. He got a cold delivery.
And we shooting him. They were shooting at him. That young man. What's his name? What's that? The big producer out there. What is his name?
They
It's a producer.
shooting at white people, and the culprit is ICE. They shooting at Mexican people, and the culprit is ICE.
Oh yeah.
This system. It's this system that's killing people, black, white, and their own. This machine. That's why, it's going to be a multitude that turn against the system. Not only blacks, it's going to encompass many. It's going to be many. And it's the system that's doing it. It's not John Beckman. It's people like John Beckman. It's not Jeff Carlin. I don't talk against Jeff Carlin because it's the system. I say Babylon is falling. Babylon is this. Babylon is that. I'm not talking about Jeff Carlin. Why would I waste my time and energy to use to talk about Jeff Carlin? I recognize who John Beckman was when I Beck the Peck. He came with a Confederate beard and then he cut it. He cut it because he thought about where he was at. And just like how you read or heard Jay talk about John Brown, when he became a bearded man, your beard means a lot. There's so much identity in your beard. People wear beards a certain way as a symbolism or recognition. And Beckman came with a different one. He came with that of a Confederate. Then he cut it because he's a wolf. He's a wolf. And he tried to come in sheep clothing. An agent even. Yeah, you was an agent. Not going to be, you can't fool me. I repel you in the name of the Most High. I got the Holy Ghost. I know how to decipher. I'm a decoder. I know how to reason. And I know how to say, forgive me if I wronged you. So I can continue to grow and excel as a professional, because I'm in the pros. Prolific even. Every day that sun rise, I learn something new. I'm a continuum. I evolve. Always. No matter how my faults are. I take 2 steps forward. 3 even. 7 even. Steps ahead. Who was that? Miles Davis? Was that Miles Davis, Steps Ahead?
Yeah.
I don't know.
If I'm not mistaken. Not just 2 steps ahead. Several. And this ain't gonna stop. It ain't gonna stop because you don't know. So as long as you don't know, they're gonna continue. Trump is the perfect one to pimp this hoe. So you can recognize it and see what it's really worth. America's a female. Remember that. America, they named her she. When you say your pledge allegiance, she. So what is she? She's a hoe. She's a tramp. She's prostituting herself out all over the world. So the sun rises, wherever the sun rises, America is America. We want to be recognized all over the world, the empire. And you know who's at the bottom, but the cornerstone? You. And it's things about your liberty that you just now finding out in your 50s. But that's all right. Because the kingdom, it don't matter when you enter the kingdom, but you got to come in as a babe.
I watched them yesterday ask for that money we was talking about. I knew they was coming. I just didn't know when. I asked them for that money for the war. Boy, that politics shit is some slick shit. They hooked it up with the Foreign Aid bill. So the Foreign Aid bill and the money they need for the military. I said it's a cold, but it's a cold world, man.
That's the pimping.
What show is? That's a cold twist.
That's the pimping. What this hoe is out. She's a hoe, and he's pimping.
We can't help
and
the
you
war.
better watch out for Slick Riley Newsom, because he's being prepped to be your next pimp.
Oh, he's a cold beast too. You know that.
Yeah, Slick Riley Newsom. Watch out for him, California.
He ain't gonna make it. He ain't gonna make it. I gotta go, y'all.
He showed and learned how to cross his legs at the table though, like he a big old pimp.
Yeah, he ain't.
And he go get it.
He ain't no big old pimp.
Oh yeah, I know that. I always remembered that he lied to the people during COVID and sat up there and act like with him and his family behind him, how benevolent and respectful he was, and told you to stay inside, but he was out partying. Don't forget that shit. Remember that when he's running. Remember how he lied to you. He's an elitist. Yeah. He's an elitist. And you're nothing but a serf, a peasant to him, a peon, a pawn.
Those are facts. I wish we had better leaders who stand up and take charge. Everybody.
Well, it's the system. It's the system, man. That allow. If you have a system that allows certain shit, it'll attract certain things. You know what I mean? That's just like the Catholic Church. It's a bunch of men that can't be married around a bunch of boys. That's a system that's going to attract homosexuals, gay men. So now we have a system that's, you got to be a crook to be a politician. So what else are you going to attract? People who don't mind doing crooked ass shit.
Yeah.
It's the system. It ain't. That shit is not straight up. You got to be willing to go on the dark side. You know, that's just like right now, that war. I would like to do an investigation of all they stock holdings and the maneuvers they make in the last few months or where they putting their money at? All the congressmen, all those people.
Every damn weapon manufacturer has a contract with the government where they putting their damn money. They got to
That's right.
stockpile all them damn bombs blowing up and missiles.
That shit,
You know where they money
that
going
shit ought to be illegal. That shit is just crooked, man.
Put stock in his own actions. Trump went to war without you.
Then he said,
He
I'm not
didn't
going to
even
call it a war. I'm going to call it a conflict because if it's a war, it'd be illegal without Congress.
Right,
He even
right,
said
right.
it.
He bragged about how many wars he stopped before he went to war. He said how he brought peace and he tried to negotiate even Ukraine and Russia. And then Zelensky, when Zelensky said, man, we need this, we need that. He said, what are you trying to do? Start World War III? No, he didn't want Zelensky to do it. He wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you remember? He said, what are you trying to do? Start World War III? And then what does he do? Go and start World War III.
He told him, you don't have the cards. You don't have the cards to make them calls.
No. See, it's a bunch of pimping going on. Y'all don't see the pimping, man.
And here, Cold Piece, he threatened all the people that he claimed he helped in all the countries. He said, he's keeping a record of this, and financially, all y'all owe the United States. That's what he's saying. Like, I'm doing this fighting, but I'm doing it for y'all, and y'all gonna pay. That's crazy, man. Ain't nobody told you to go do that.
I mean, like he was talking shit about Spain, but then when they won the cup, he jumped in and didn't even want to get off stage with him.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's all, that's that politics shit.
He know you still divided in your mind, a dichotomy about being Republican or Democrat, thinking one is better than the other.
Some people, yeah.
But if you read the history of the Democrats, they're the worst people on the earth when it comes to about you. Democrats don't like, the Democrats' history ain't about loving you niggas. But now you niggas that's 50 love a Democrat because they see how you've been conditioned. You think that's your savior instead of you being your savior. You hold stock in a Democrat. You hold stock in a Republican. You hold stock in something that they told you when they so-called set you free, you went back to. And when you did, they said, got them. And you know what they called their big city? Got them city. Because they got you. Yeah, got them. Got them city. Got them niggas. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what's going on. This world is yours. This country was yours. Or this land. This country was named. This land was given a name by conquerors. That's what this country is. This is where you were born. What you got to change is your mind. Renewing of your mind. If you haven't gone through a renewing of your mind, the scriptures aren't in you. Be changed by the renewing of your mind. What is a new mind? Coming back from the other side with a different perspective. You can't have the same old thing. You got to come anew. Then you fulfilling the scriptures. The scriptures are your story. It's your story. Ain't no racism. It's gonna be multitudes that gain from you overcoming. Many will be with them. Go read the story. Even in your Moses story, it wasn't just about the Israelites. And it said many was with the Israelites when they went to freedom. But the whole story was focused on the Israelites. But because of the Israelites, now you compose those stories and you put black people's civil rights with the children of Egypt time. The parallels are frightening. So anyway, in the story, when they got free, it was many other cultures that got free. Egypt was an empire. It had many people. It had many nations. It was conquered. It was the best in the world. They had all other kind of people there. But at the bottom was the Israelites. At the bottom of this one is you. And when you get your freedom, when you have liberty in your mind, you'll see, oh, Kente was right. I ain't got to talk about no individual white man. Why would I waste my energy on that? I am the spearhead. I go right to the system, the source. I talk about Trump. I talk about that pimp. I talk about America. You try and deflect me when you want me to talk about somebody like Jeff Carlin. You think I would, what? In today's times, in these days and these are perilous days and time, perilous. Your children are going to grow up in a way in which you see if they had correction or teachings. Because if they ain't doing it now, whoa, it's a lot of work to be done, man. A lot of work to be done. But you, the generation of Joshua, we're the Joshua generation to lead the children into the promised land. You sit up, you act like one of the spies in the story that said it's too big, it's too big for us. When the scriptures say, go possess it, it's right there. Go touch it. Johnny D, love you too, brother. You absolutely crack me up on the daily. Nah, I don't really like traveling too much. It's always such a pain in the booty. We have to get somebody to come stay in our house because we have, boy, my eyes, a poodle, two poodles. Then my wife has to trust them, which, after the FBI and CIA background check, in addition to a 47-course lie detector test, that knocks out 93% of the human race. Thank you, Jeff Carlin. That was so informative to the subject. Whereas Moses never existed, and no so-called Israelites were ever enslaved in Kemet. That you call Egypt, named by the Greeks. The book editorialized the Romans. It's a book, agenda, regulated epic, and fairy tale. I agree. That's why I brought it up. That's why I said if you juxtapose the story of the Egyptians, the story that they wrote, the Greeks, however, All I asked you is compare the story. I didn't glorify no Israelites. I didn't I said if you look at the story, the parallels are frightening. Do you agree or disagree with that? No, he's back. You can form your opinion, but you cannot establish facts. Absolutely, any black person who uses the term America should reconsider its implication. Wait a minute, stop there then. So let's look at your first sentence. You can form your opinion, but you agree with it right there in the second statement? Man, get the fuck out of here. Additionally, any black person who uses the term America should reconsider. So you agree with me there then, right? But that's my opinion. And you just gave a fact in the second sentence. What the fuck is your purpose? The term was created by you know who in their calendar year 1507. And well, okay, why not just say their fucking name? And we instituted across the entire so-called hemisphere. Black people have been in this region for arguably millions of years. Okay. The overwhelming evidence marks at least 250,000 years, right? Trumpty Dumpty, Donald Trump, I know I named him Trumpty Dumpty, sir, is illiterate. He cannot read. He, along with all the former presidents, you're preaching to the church, but you want to call the preacher forming his own opinion. You know, you're very crafty, but I have the Holy Ghost, sir. I decipher. I look at the words you write and where it came from in your heart, mind, and soul. And you are covert writing. You have underlines under there of undermining or something. And you should just name the you know who. Fuck it, I tell. Who is it? Since you say the Greeks wrote, who is you know who? Why don't you tell us who you know who is so all of us can grow today instead of keeping it a mystery? Are you scared to say who you know who is? What are you scared of? Don't you have the power? You don't have the power? You afraid? But you'll come and frame words that the cloth talk about. All right. I know the stories are metaphor, allegory. I know that. I just asked you to compare the story, sir. Genius. Panda bear. Trying to attract you a panda bear. You and Charles, the propaganda panda, are one and the same. You here to try to bring your intelligence to get a grizzly bear. You a panda bear. Propaganda panda at that. Oh, excuse me, is this Friday? Snitchy, could you put that back up there, his comment, please? If you don't mind. Or are you away? We are okay. You retiring. I know you said that earlier. Can you put who that was back up there as you're going away? That's all I ask. James L. Richards. Who is James L. Richards II? All right, go on and leave. Go on and sign out, snitchy. Is that what your intent is? You know, you're so easy to figure out. You got to remember, you don't even know how to exit on an off-ramp that you travel 300 miles to go to. That's problems. You're still on the other side. Go on and do what you want to do. That's your ambition. You're in the seat. Uhuru. You could be all of it. You could be Scotty, Uhuru, Captain Kirk, Spock. You're a dodo bird. Just what I named. Just like I named Trumpty Dumpty. You don't remember that Samuel L. Jackson? Was it Samuel L. Jackson or it was Samuel something? The second? Seemed like Uncle Ruckus. You was Samuel L. Jackson on that. Uncle Ruckus, when he played Uncle Ruckus. That's who you are. Yeah, there you go, Samuel. What's up, Jackson? Oh, James L. Richards. You acting like Samuel L. Jackson. L.
Snitchy, I gotta text you. I need 2 shirts. I don't know if my brother-in-law did he pay for that one. He need a 5X, and then I need a small Kings in the Morning t-shirt. I'll text you.
Chocolate Peach come on here. Ain't nobody mentioned her name. She come on giving middle fingers to people. God damn, it's a lot of hate in black women. Who you hating on with your middle finger? Ain't nobody mentioned your name. And you came on the show giving a middle finger. Wow.
Hey, man. You know, I was talking about black women, but all women. I took my wife out trying to get her mind off of my son. You know, not off, but she needs to do something else. And so I take her to have this
I don't mean to interrupt you, Bernard, but we don't have so much time. Let's talk about how this black woman just came on here and gave a motherfucking middle finger.
But that's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. The black women I encountered this weekend. I'm like, wow.
Well, look at what we're encountering right now. I mean, I get it if she's saying fuck America, but she's saying, I want to know who she give a middle finger to. You beautiful black woman. What's bothering you today, beautiful black woman?
My navigation system out of here. I got to go to Chocchilla. Let me know about the police.